Welcome to An Post Commerce Mind the Gap series. I'm here today with Donagh Quigley from the Handmade Soap Company.
Hi Evine, and thanks a million for having us.
What inspired you to set up the Handmade Soap Company?
So we started 11 years ago. Before this I was a thatcher. I made straw roofs for a living and I loved it. It ticked all the boxes for me. It was a craft, it was sculptural, I was working outside, I was working with my hands, and I thought I'd be doing it forever. But it was a combination of two bad harvests and the big bad recession, and I had to look for something different. I had my eyes open for about 6 months, and when I was on a road trip with my wife in Australia, we came across this handmade soap in a little farmer's market over there. It's not something that had crossed my radar particularly before, but we used it and I thought, this feels really nice, what is it? So we looked into that and that was the start of it, really.
So what did you do after that then? So you came home and...
Yeah, well, I actually used the last of my thatching jobs. It was a landmark cottage in Drogheda. I did that during the day. It was a cold November and I went off studying how to make soap in the evening. A lot of trial and error at home, 2 pots in the kitchen.
Wow.
Finished that job and we started selling soap. We literally only had 8 different types of soap in farmers markets at the end of 2009 in around Dublin.
So I suppose, was it then that you kind of set your sights on selling online or?
We hadn't a clue. We actually hadn't a clue. The next step for us though, we called our local enterprise board and we were advised to participate in a show called Showcase, which is a big show in the ODS. And we were literally still 2 pots in the kitchen at this stage. We could only make 60 bars of soap a day. And the first order we got was from a chain of Irish gift shops, and they said, we'll need 3,000 bars of soap. Is that okay with you? We said, absolutely no problem. We were like this. So we spent the next 6 weeks up till 2 o'clock in the morning with our 2 pots making these 3,000 bars of soap, and we got it done.
Your product range is so vast now. It's not just bars of soap, like you've got the sanitizers, the hand sanitizers, which are amazing, by the way. I have them all at home, as do a lot of my family. So, you know, was it online that you think catapulted you into that, you know, that you were ready for that pandemic, the demand that we saw from the pandemic?
Yeah, well, we were on a fairly steep growth curve over the last few years, and we'd always over-invested in our website because we're developing a couple of new international markets and our website was always a window to the world. So we've always been highly focused on the look and feel of the company, and a lot of this stuff was intuitive. We didn't know the language or anything around it, but we always wanted the product to feel good but to look good, so that when you saw it on the shelf, your first impression was a positive one. We wanted every touch point to be positive. So that ethos carried all through the website and everything we tried to do. Pre-pandemic, we would have supplied a lot of little bottles to hotels. That business disappeared overnight, retail shops disappeared overnight, but we always had the online shop. But what we did do, we had a lot of kind of bottles for hotels, empty bottles, and we always made a cleaning agent. So we started selling hand sanitizer at the start of the pandemic, and it was a situation where there wasn't too many people doing that, so it brought a lot of new people into the brand, and it jumped us up. It absolutely jumped us up.
So Donagh, in terms of gaps that you've encountered over the last number of years and throughout your business journey, what were they and how did they negatively impact the business? For
me, it's always been knowledge gap. So I meant it when I said we hadn't a clue, and I still don't have much more of a clue, but I'm probably more aware now of what I don't know, and I'm kind of quite comfortable with that. So it's filling that knowledge gap, and whether that's bringing in expertise for a period of time or expanding the team, or, you know, the quickest and easiest way is to pick up a phone and call someone. Second to that is probably go out and learn yourself. But depending on the new skill you're trying to acquire, the gap you're trying to fill, that can be, you know, that can be a bit of a process. It's a knowledge gap, and for me it's getting comfortable admitting that, hey, I only know this much and there's that much out there, and being comfortable with that has been the biggest learning for me.
Okay, so that would be good advice to any entrepreneurs out there looking to, I suppose, achieve what you've achieved. Do you have any other advice that you could offer them?
Look, some days it just comes down to getting out of bed and just getting on with it, because you take the good with the bad, and while the good days are really, really good, I guess you can't get too excited about them, and the bad days can be really, really bad, and you just can't get too down about that either. So some days you just got to try, hold it steady.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Donagh.
Thank you, and thanks for having us.